Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 90. Sol Standard Date 4th of the 2nd, 3267. A whole day had passed where it was just the Emperor giving a one-sided explanation to the whole "we aren't actually your gods, but we also are actually your gods" thing. Now it was his turn for some information. "Saran, I recognize that you seem to be mostly focused on research pertaining to xenobiology, given your extensive knowledge of your religion that the others do not have. I am under the assumption that you studied xenobiology to come closer to your gods, maybe figure out what they were or where they went?" he asked. Saran let his eyes go a little wide, expressing the surprise at the fact that just examining how he worked over the last day, this Emperor had managed to analyze his work and physiology to figure out his entire life's goal. "Well, yes, your lordship, that is correct," he said. Basilisk tapped his chin in thought for a moment, before just going for it. "So, from your perspective, where do we stand? We are the final works of your gods, and to top it off, we are somewhat built in their image. Minus the ears, of course," he added. Saran shuffled a bit and pondered. "In all honesty, my lord, to me you are my gods. They gave themselves to you and married their genetics with yours in a holy embrace. I had mistaken Catherine for a goddess several times aboard the Amaryllis, though I had assumed I had been losing my mind. It all makes sense now," he said. Saran looked Basilisk in the eyes. "It will not only be me, once the Council learns of this, the entire known galaxy even. We may all end up worshipping you as our gods because you are our gods. The races of the Compact will surely worship you. I can't exactly say the same for those within the Razari Alliance, nor can I say the same for those within the Empire of Kind," he said. Basilisk started to get a bigger picture the longer he kept the mouse talking, so he motioned for him to continue and said, "Why?" Saran took a deep breath. "After researching the creatures of Earth, I have the equivalents here for their races. First, the Felis. They're the Earth equivalent of cats, your lordship. That is all they have within their empire. They prefer to be alone for the most part, as far as we can tell. We haven't had too much contact with them aside from the expansion wars a decade or two back, where our old captain had made a name for himself. As for the Razari Alliance, it's made up by 3 races. First and foremost, the Razari themselves, who are equivalent to the spiders of Earth. The Razari Empress is what you would call a Black Widow. Second are the Kroktok. They are roughly equivalent to your Earth's wasps and bees. They are a hive mind where the queen resembles a bee, as do the workers, but all the soldiers are the wasps. Then the biggest powerhouse within the Alliance. We don't actually have a name for them, as they have had no need for one apparently. Not even their allies know their name. We within the Compact know them as the Devouring Scourge. You know them as," he said, as he leaned in close to whisper the name, as if they could hear him wherever he went. "Ants." Basilisk was taken aback. Giant killer ants? They would have been scary before humanity hit its technological golden age. Now, though? After dealing with the literal embodiment of entropy, the Azarians? Ants just seem like, well, ants. "Next question," he said, before he was cut off by an emergency message from Aurelius. Basilisk frowned. "What is it, Aurelius?" he asked. Aurelius cleared his throat and saluted the projection of the Emperor. "We have just detected the early signs of a dimensional rift, opening about 7 AU out from the Glory to the Emperor. The size of the rift indicates it could be a capital-class Azarian warlord. To top it all off, we have 2 unknown ships coming towards our location. Our pings estimate that they are each only several hours out based on their speeds." Basilisk stood up and calmly walked over to Catherine. "Take your Ateni friends back to the Amaryllis now, literally, right this second. Your father would haunt me if I let anything happen to you," he said, as he outstretched his massive hand and patted the girl's head. Catherine narrowed her eyes. "They're coming, aren't they?" she said. Basilisk just nodded, and the Ateni all gulped as they saw black fire erupt from everywhere on the spike armor of the Emperor, Basilisk. Their eyes widened as blackish blood seemed to well up from everywhere on his armor, dripping off to the floor, leaving dark black stains everywhere he walked. Catherine ran over to the Ateni, looked them over, and then remembered something that she needed to do. It was necessary as a troublesome niece. She walked over to the facial imprint of the Emperor and wrote, "Uncle Bassie was here," winky face less than 3, before turning around and scooping up the Ateni and making a short sprint back into the teleporter.